Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Agree to Disagree here. We're on Zoom for another episode. I'm Noah Schwartz, your host today, alongside Aidan Charned, Dean Gutic, and Jack Casello. What's up, boys?
What's going on?
Much.
Been a good week for sports. Finally.
Yes, it has.
We're getting more.
So we've got a great show filled in today. We're going to talk about the Clippers-Lakers matchup coming up Thursday as the NBA returns. Should be great. Hockey also returning soon after that as well. We will talk about Jamal Adams, a tough situation for Jack and I as Jets fans, a Tom Thibodeau Knicks coaching hire, another pretty terrible situation for Jack and I as Knicks fans. And we will talk about the tough times ahead for Major League Baseball as the Miami Marlins are stuck in a COVID uptick as almost half their team has the virus now and schedules have to be changed around. It's a whole mess there in Miami. So we'll get to all of that plus more today with winners and losers at the end. But first, we'll talk some Jamal Adams. I want to start with that first as the big story of these last few days. Jack, I'll get into my opinion on this thing later, but our SAR safety heading to Seattle, we got quite a haul for him, but what did you think on the big trade?
Well, obviously, I am not happy about it. Jamal Adams was my favorite player. He was that one bright spot the Jets have had in years. He was that one guy. He had a great attitude. He was a natural leader, and he just was, I think, one of the most dominant players in the game right now. He does everything you want out of a player. He does everything the right way. And I gotta say, for his draft class, like the top 5, I think he's easily been the most productive.
He was what, 2017?
Yeah, no, like out of the first top 5, I think he was 5 or 6. But
he was drafted in 2017, right?
Yeah, I'm saying he was better than probably anybody picked above him. I'm not going to compare.
And that was a good draft class too.
Yeah, I know Pat Mahomes. Well, they were behind him, but yeah.
What about Mitch Trubisky? You're telling me he's better than Mitch Trubisky?
Come on. No.
Got a shot to be.
Yeah, a little bit.
Might be.
Anyway, obviously he was asking. I gotta say, his asking price, he was looking for more than $20 million, which is I think that's very high for a safety. And it stunned me if a lot of teams would even consider paying now because his position really doesn't demand a lot of teams don't like to give money to that position. It's not like a cornerback. But anyway, I think the Jets overall, the main reason he didn't want to go is because he wasn't happy with the direction coaching was going with Adam Gase, and I don't blame him for doing that. I'm not a fan of Adam Gase. He says he's not the right guy. He's arrogant, and also this does not surprise me that in the end he did get traded under Adam Gase because Adam Gase has had a history of trading superstar players. He traded Jarvis Landry, and he traded Jay Ajayi when he was at a Pro Bowl level.
I still don't get that trade. Every time I think about that, I forgot that even happened.
I feel like they got him for free. They
got him for free on the team that was most likely going to win the Super Bowl anyway. They traded him away for nothing.
They ended up winning.
But they get a 6th-round pick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, overall, I mean, Joe Douglas, like he said in his conference call, he didn't plan on doing it, but if he's always willing to listen, if there's an offer he loves, he's going to take it. I feel he's done a decent job so far. I want to see how these draft pick turns out. All I'm going to say is this. I did think they got a good haul. They're going to have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years. They got a starting caliber guy in Bradley McDougall, but I also have to believe if they were willing to make this trade that they have to be high on the third round pick they had, Ashton Davis. So they got to be high on him. But overall, I'm not happy about this decision. If you want to be moving forward as a franchise, you don't trade away players like Jamal Adams. Those are moves that set your franchise back. And for anybody wondering, this is now Sam Darnold's team, and it's time for him to step up.
100%. I also think, here's the thing. This might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I think the Jets won this trade. And I say that because Jamal Adams was not going to stay with the Jets in free agency. No doubt. As soon as his contract expired, he was out of there.
Yeah. Also, Aidan,
yeah, go for it.
Can I just interrupt you one more thing? I forgot to say this right now, and I forgot to say this when I was giving my little reaction video. I meant to say it, but I didn't. I thought I would just say it now for here. This just shows, this trade just shows why the Jets are the way they are. I think now with Jamal Adams, I don't think that the Jets, I think since Muhammad Wilkerson, The Jets have not had one first-round pick last till the end of their rookie contract.
Yeah.
That just shows you're doing something wrong in your organization.
But yeah, it's to get 2 first-round picks, and another starting safety out of it. I think that's a very good haul for a player that wasn't going to stay with the team. Of course it hurts to lose Jamal Adams. He's one of the best players in the NFL. He's probably the best safety in the NFL. But all in all, that's really good, all things considered, for the Jets.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Aidan on this one. Here's the thing with this trade. Jack, we touched on this one. The Seahawks, I believe, won short term, but the Jets won long term, and the Jets got a great haul in that trade. Now, here's the thing: if you're Seattle, you have to win now. You have to build now. Russell Wilson's at the peak of his career, and getting a guy like Jamal Adams. Don't get me wrong, the Seahawks needed a safety. They definitely needed a piece on defense. They were a team that was sneaky. That I thought, that was a dark horse to make this move, and now pairing him with Quandre Diggs. In the secondary, I believe, is going to be a brilliant fit for Jamal Adams and, of course, the Seattle Seahawks. However, you were saying, Jack?
And with Bobby Wagner, that's a nice threesome.
Yes. Even the linebackers, Shaquille Griffin, KJ Wright. I mean, this is crucial for Seattle.
It's a good defense.
They're going to have to win. They're going to have to win now. For the Jets, it's all about rebuilding. You cannot screw up these picks. It's either you draft well or you can even use them for trade bait, because now let's say you get a top 5 pick and then Seattle's picks in the 20s. You can now use those picks not only for trade, but in case you want to trade up or just draft, this is the time for the Jets to build now.
Yeah, Aidan, if you say Sam Darnold isn't good, maybe the Jets, if he doesn't progress, maybe they'll use their top 5 pick and the Seattle pick to trade up for Trey Lance.
Trevor Lawrence. So the point I want to make, and I don't want to repeat everything that you guys just said. I mean, the Jets got a haul, and we know that. But the one thing I do want to mention, and Jack, you talked about this a little bit, organizationally, the Jets are just such a mess. And this was the first time, I think, where Joe Douglas had to make a move he probably didn't want to make, but it was the only way he could move forward to build and get away from the past regimes that have screwed up so badly for so long. Because Jamal Adams wasn't Joe Douglas's pick, and he was a great pick by Mike Maccagnan. But if Mike Maccagnan had hired the right coach in Adam Gase, if he had put together a roster with weapons on offense, with receivers and running backs that are young and explosive, and if you put a defense together that isn't just Jamal Adams and a bunch of guys, it's Jamal Adams and some other real superstar pieces there, then Jamal Adams is on a team that wins, is on a team that's functional, and is on a team that builds together and culturally just works. He never had that from day one, just like Sam Darnold's never had that. It obviously sets players back. With Jamal Adams, he was so talented, he was able to rise above it. But at the end of the day, he looks around and says, I'm so much better than everybody else in this locker room that why do I want to be stuck here if I could go play with Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Chris Carson, Bobby Wagner? He looks around the league and sees other teams, and he just wants to be there. He doesn't want to be stuck in a dumpster fire like he is in New York with the Jets. They're just so bad, and this is the first time that they've had to really lose a player that they wanted to keep just because he was done. He just couldn't take it anymore. And that I feel terrible for Joe Douglas for that.
I mean, here's the thing, you said this on one of the shows. It's regardless, it's going to be a huge mistake. It's going to bite the Jets in the ass in the future, trading Jamal Adams. This is your best player since Darrelle Revis, and you just traded your star player. And you saw the list that he had, the teams he wanted to be traded to. He just wanted to win. He wanted to get out of the Jets and go to a winning team, a contending
Cowboys.
Yeah, even the Cowboys. I mean, Adam Gase was too busy taking notes from Bill O'Brien, trading best players. But I mean, it's a difficult time for the Jets. The Jets, this will be a little controversial. Reminds me of the Detroit Lions. Get a good quarterback out of the draft and then just trade your players or just let them walk and just not build. The Jets are heading away. That's just not in the right direction. Another organization, in my opinion, that needs a rebrand. Not change a name like the Redskins, but a change in scenery.
No, but you know what they do need to do? They need to change those god-awful jerseys and go back to what they had. I'm sorry. but the new color scheme.
The black ones are fire.
Yes, but
I'll
the
say
old
this,
ones
though,
are
guys.
better. The old ones are a classic.
Yeah,
I'll
the
say
black
this,
are
though.
fire.
Just as the rest of the Jets division with Buffalo and Miami starting to work their way up. I mean, both teams now have young quarterbacks that they recently drafted with Josh Allen and then now obviously Tua. Both of them have coaches that seem like they're going to be long-term fits. Sean McDermott's done a great job. Brian Flores was very good his first year. And so you've got two teams who have been at the bottom of the division with the Jets for the last 20-plus years for the most part, and they're starting to work their way back into the playoff mix year after year. And the Patriots, as much as they have maybe fallen off with Brady leaving and some of their players aging, I mean, they have a bunch of guys that just opted out of the season today. They're still going to be competitive. They've got Bill Belichick. They've got Cam Newton. So they've got pieces, and they'll win. So the Jets are in a spot now where they're not just in a division where it's New England and then there's everybody else. There's New England, and then there's Miami, who's pretty good, and Buffalo's pretty good, and then all the way at the bottom of that mountain is the New York Jets. And I don't know how they can overcome that in the next few years when they can't even get an easy position in today's NFL, right? I mean, wide receiver, just draft somebody that's tall, fast, that can run far, and there you go. I mean, you've got yourself a receiving core, and they can't even get that position right. So how do you get a quarterback, a defense, an offense, an offensive line, all those positions correct when you can't even get the most basic things on your roster right, like head coach, general manager for the last decade, and position like receiver? It's just terrible. And the ownership group, obviously we saw what happened with Woody Johnson last week, so we'll see what happens there. It's tough. It's tough for Sam Darnold, really. I mean, I just feel for him so badly. And just all the best to Jamal Adams. I didn't mention that before, but all the best to him. He was a model Jet for 3 years and did everything that was asked of him week after week. Before
we move on, because we do have to move on from this topic quickly, I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Of course, you saw Le'Veon Bell's tweet. It was, a little bit cryptic, but you could kind of tell he was kind of mad at Jamal Adams for recruiting him to New York and then leaving. And then Adams had a response saying, "See you in week 14. So are you guys excited for that Seahawks-Jets matchup?
Not at all. That'll probably be a romp.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to be like the Ravens game last year.
Didn't Le'Veon Bell get shopped or won out at one point, especially because Adam Gase was the same person that didn't want to give him that contract? It's ironic that someone tweets that, considering it's the same guy that got pissed off at Gase after what Gase said or did.
Yeah. It's the same thing. By the way, I just want to make this quick prediction and we can move on quickly. In a year where I think the 49ers are going to be good, but maybe have a little bit of a Super Bowl run hangover, and they do play in a tough division. The Rams are good. The Cardinals are building. I think the Seahawks will win that division and probably win 11 or 12 games again because that's Russell Wilson. All he does is win, and now he's got a superstar safety alongside of him. So that's where I think they'll be headed. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next topic, focused on another New York team. The New York Knicks have made a head coaching hire. Mike Miller is no longer the guy. He was the interim coach this year after David Fizdale was fired. And now it is Tom Thibodeau, the former coach of the Chicago Bulls and the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's had a lot of success in terms of taking his teams to the playoffs. He took the Bulls to the Eastern Conference Finals way back when. He took the Timberwolves to the playoffs 2 years ago. But he doesn't have the best reputation around the league. He's known as sort of a defensive-first curmudgeon who likes to practice a lot and pushes players really hard and play his guys a whole lot of minutes. So there were some mixed reactions from around the Knicks fan base when the move was made the other day. But what are you guys feeling? Did the Knicks make the right move here with giving Thibs a 5-year deal?
No. I mean, that was the most firm no you'll ever get from me. Here's the thing with Thibs, especially after I still blame him after Derrick Rose tore an ACL, burning his knees off. I do not trust Thibs developing a young team like this, a building team like the Knicks. I just don't think Thibs, compared to what the Knicks are building or trying to do, is just not going to gel together, in my opinion. Yeah. I feel like the Knicks should have got someone like maybe Kenny Atkinson that could develop a young team.
I agree with that. I said on my thing, Kenny Atkinson was my first choice, but I'm glad that Knicks, if they had to pick, I'm glad they went with Thibs over a guy like Jason Kidd, because that hire was only going to be to try and lure Giannis, which they have no shot at getting. So I'm glad they didn't do that. But like Thibs, I gotta give him some credit. Like I said on my thing, I gotta give him some credit where credit's due. I do give him credit for developing Jimmy Butler into an all-star. He did turn Joakim Noah into a 2-time Defense Player of the Year. He did make Derrick Rose an MVP candidate for like 2 or 3 years. So you got to give him some credit there. I do agree with Noah when he says that he does play his players a whole lot of minutes and he kind of can run them into the ground. He has had some success, but he does have his flaws. I don't think like I said, I would have gone with Kenny Atkinson because I feel like he brings a better culture. But overall, I don't think it's the best hire, but I don't think it's the worst.
But here's the thing, when you're an organization like the Knicks in the situation that they're in right now, you're not going to go out and find like a coach of the year level coach. You're not going to hire – no coach is going to want to go and coach the Knicks right now, or no, like, great coach. No offense to the Knicks. A little bit of offense to the Knicks.
No offense taken. I mean, they're horrible.
So, like, right now, you need to get that coach that's going to make you good enough to be able to sign good players to get a good coach and then win games. And I think he makes sense as that kind of coach, although they have been trying that for, like, the past – feels like 10 seasons. They've just been trying to get good enough to get players. But once they can win enough games with the lineup that they have, then they can start getting those big name players in free agency. Of course, they have no shot at Giannis, but I mean, I have a feeling they were pretty close on Kyrie and KD this offseason. And so if they could have gotten the two of them, this would have been a whole different story. So you never know. There could be some guys coming their way soon.
Yeah, totally disagree with you, Aidan. This
Really?
was among the worst hires they could have made. You said they couldn't have gotten a great coach. I'm not saying they could have gotten the best coach in the world either, but you're telling me that Tyronn Lue or Mark Jackson.
Oh, don't get me. Stop Tyronn Lue. Stop Tyronn Lue.
He's way better than Tom Thibodeau.
No.
So one of those two, you guys mentioned Kenny Atkinson. There are Jeff Van Gundy. There are other coaches who are really good at what they do. Stan Van Gundy, his brother, who are really good at what they do, have won a lot, and are respected by the vast majority of players around the league. I don't think that's the case with Tom Thibodeau. I sort of see what the Knicks are trying to build. To me, it almost seems like they're trying to build the New York version of the Miami Heat, where it's a hard-nosed culture. Guys are playing a lot of minutes. It's all about unity and team. And in the NBA today, it doesn't really work that way. Guys are too busy signing with whichever team they have friends on, and guys are too interested in the offense, and it's not necessarily always about defense. It's a fast-paced game now with a lot of threes taken. And Tom Thibodeau is a defensive-first coach. His offenses have tended to be slow, kind of methodical, not a lot of three-pointers taken. That's not the way you win in the NBA today. It's all about ball movement. It's all about shooting. And I think the best way I can describe him is the defensive version of the NFL's Mike McCarthy. For a long time, what Tom Thibodeau did was innovative, it was successful, and the teams that he coached won a lot. And that was his entire Bulls run. They won a ton of games. Then he went to the Timberwolves, and he won for one season, and then it didn't really work out too well. It's almost like Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy with Green Bay for the first 10 years or so won a lot of games. His offense was innovative. They were new. They were creative. They were really fun to watch. And then at the end, it kind of got boring. It didn't really fit in with the modern game anymore, and he never really adjusted. And that's exactly what Tom Thibodeau is to me. So I don't like Mike McCarthy. I don't think the Dallas hired the right coach, and I don't think the Knicks hired the right coach here. To me, I know they don't. They one specializes in defense, one specializes in offense. But to me, they are very similar in the way they handle coaching their rosters, and it just doesn't work.
I agree with pretty much everything you said, except that Tyronn Lue is a better choice. The Knicks don't need a puppet without a puppet master. So
I got to agree with that. We saw how Tyronn Lue was after LeBron James left Cleveland. It was not pretty.
Even win a game.
Well, anyway, what doesn't have to be about Tyronn Lue, but the point is, in terms of what the Knicks are trying to do, I don't see how this move gets them free agents. I don't see how this move gets them anywhere closer to bringing in some superstar, whether it be via free agency, via trade. I wouldn't say Thibodeau's been a great drafter in his career. I haven't seen him develop any real superstars outside of maybe Jimmy Butler. So I wouldn't say he's some phenomenal drafter. I don't think he does that. And he's a hard-nosed, tough guy. And when you bring in a guy who's new to the industry in terms of, general managing a basketball team like Leon Rose, I'm not really sure that the fit is there. I think that they're going to clash a little bit, and they're two strong-headed guys. I don't know exactly how they'll fit. And look, when James Dolan's running the show, I don't care how great of a coach you are, typically your skills are going to be brought down a little bit. You're not going to have the same wiggle room to work with and the way to build your roster the way you want to. So even if I like Thibodeau, I don't think any coach the Knicks would have hired would be a slam dunk just because Dolan's in that position and puts the control on the team the way he wants to have it. It's tough. It's a really tough situation.
I disagree with you on one point. I actually do think Thibodeau is actually pretty good at drafting. He did draft Jimmy Butler. I remember reports like right after like the draft. I think originally they did want to draft Draymond Green, but because Derrick Rose got injured, they were so desperate for a point guard, so they had to go with Marcus Teague. I remember they did want Draymond Green.
Okay.
They did find Nikola Mirotic. I think he's a.
That's true.
I think he's a good drafter. You gotta give him some credit.
He didn't do a lot with the Timberwolves though.
Yeah, no. Well, anyway. Timberwolves, he was only there for like 1 year. But I will say this: until Jimmy, when he was with the Timberwolves, it's like 1 year before he got fired. Then they were like the Timberwolves. Before Jimmy Butler went down, they were the 3rd seed in the West.
Yeah, but then they got crushed by Houston in the first round once they had the whole team out there. They weren't even competitive. So anyway, it's a tough situation. The Knicks are just so bad anyway. How can you really win in a spot like that?
The Knicks are in a tough spot. I think, like you said, Jack, he's a decent drafter, but I think the question is developing young talent for him.
Yeah.
So, should we move on to our next and I think last topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So, baseball. Baseball's back, guys. I know we've been watching all weekend. It's been really great. I mean, the Mets got absolutely just crushed on Sunday night by the Atlanta Braves, but other than that, it's been fun.
Red Sox lost 2 games to the Orioles. What is happening?
Right.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. The Miami Marlins and Baltimore Orioles both won 2 of their first 3 games, so that was pretty shocking. But
the Marlins are
anyway,
thinking, are we good now? And then this happens.
Exactly. So that's what I'll get into. Half the team, essentially, now has COVID. It's the first real roadblock into finishing a 60-game shortened season, and schedules have now been changed. Teams are stuck in cities they don't want to be stuck in. And it's created a bit of a huge problem for the Eastern teams because obviously they're all playing each other over these next 2 months, and how you can fit that into a shortened schedule is not easy when you have games to make up. So it will not be easy for the Marlins, and it will not be easy for the teams that they're facing in the next couple of weeks. They won't play till at least Monday, possibly past that. So what do you guys think? Should baseball look to axe the season just as quickly as it started? Or do you think they should try to work through a situation that is really not easy just because the sheer amount of guys who are sick on one team?
I don't really know. This is such a tough situation.
I think the Marlins are the only team, I believe, to test positive.
It is. The Marlins are the only ones that have had a significant outbreak, but they also put the Phillies. They postponed the Phillies for now, right?
Yep. They won't be playing till at least Monday.
The Phillies, as of now, don't have anybody positive, which is great news. That is really good news because that's just you don't want multiple outbreaks. Here's what you need to do, and one of the big things that the MLB needs to take away from is the KBO. Like, we saw how seriously not just the league was taking it, but the country. And that's definitely a fault on us in America. We haven't been taking the pandemic as seriously as we should be. But the other thing is that the KBO really was, these players, according to a lot of the ESPN analysts who were watching those games and following the league, as soon as they ended the game, they were wearing a mask at all times outside of the stadium, getting changed in the locker rooms. Anytime they could be wearing a mask, they would be wearing a mask. And that's what we need to do in the MLB, because we already missed our chance to do a bubble. A bubble would have been the best thing we could have done.
Yes.
As stupid as the Arizona and Florida plan sounded, it would have worked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it would be better. That's the only way the NFL season is going to work too, if they put it in a bubble. The NFL season is going to get canceled if they don't decide to do it like that. And so the best thing that the MLB can do now is just enforce wearing masks, even on the field, if players can. You know, that little thing could make a huge difference for infielders to have to wear masks. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's, some questions like maybe put the season on pause, which some have considered, but I don't know if you do that. I mean, I think the baseball tests the players every other day or something like that, like every 2 days.
Yeah, and the Marlins have now, I heard today, instituted a new policy where every day all their guys are getting tested, and especially because they play in a hot spot. I mean, Florida has a lot of cases now, so obviously you want to keep your guys safe in that situation.
And it was also what team was it that the Nationals had a team meeting and voted against going down to Miami to play. Like, you're gonna have teams doing that.
Yeah, I think they canceled Marlins Orioles for yesterday and today, and Baltimore didn't want to fly down there and said they wanted to switch the series to play in Baltimore, but now it got rescheduled for the Yankees to play the Orioles in Camden Yards tomorrow. I think, the players should be not only wearing masks, like you said, Aidan, be tested every day. I mean, I know this is different. I know some leagues don't have as much bigger roster as, baseball. But, there's like the UFC, there's the NBA, NHL. I feel like, you should test these guys every day or even every night after the game because, like, let's say after the game you play, morning or before you play, get the results. And if you test positive or even after you test, just isolate them, make them quarantine,
Yeah.
I mean, of course it's different. And you mentioned the NFL season. At least for the NFL, they're not playing every day, which is a little bit of a benefit, but they're still traveling. And traveling spreads the virus easier compared to a bubble, whereas a bubble can contain it. That's why these leagues like the NHL and the MLS have a plan, and the bubble has worked out successfly, in which the NHL has 0 positive cases the past few days.
I think the success of the NBA, I think the NBA and NHL are both going to work out very well. And I think the success of both of those are going to push the NFL to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's what they have to do. There's no other option at this point.
Or you could do like the UFC, put them on an island and play football.
Football Island.
Football Island.
NFL Island.
Isolated.
Actually, no, what am I saying? It'd be called Goodell Island. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, think about it this way. For an NFL bubble, and I know we're getting a little bit off topic. If you take 3 games out of the NFL schedule, the 3 games where they play teams in other or like that finished in the same spot in the other division, 2 games out of the schedule. Then you can put 2 divisions from the AFC, 2 divisions from the NFC together that are already going to be playing each other. That's one bubble instead of having to do an AFC bubble and an NFC bubble. It just that makes that little bit of sense, I think.
Not bad. It's like East and North and South and West.
Basically.
Decent idea.
Mm-hmm. So back to baseball, guys, just quickly, I think, before we move on. So just one thing in terms of the Marlins. So as I said, half their team is now sick.
Yeah.
They don't have that many other options. I mean, I know there's a 60-game, group of players that are essentially on your roster this year that you can go to at different points. But would you think that baseball should expand its rosters? Do you think that baseball should have an additional members on the taxi squad? How would you handle it? Because I'm looking at the Marlins roster and I going down the list, it's like that guy's sick, that guy's sick, that guy's sick. How do you have enough guys on any given night to play who have at least are in shape and are ready to go in the way that they need to be to play in a major league game?
I don't know. And it's tough. You can't just – I think it's – at this point, you can't just say, yep, Marlins, your season's done, you're going home.
Yeah.
You can't do that to just one team. That's completely unfair, even if that team has serious safety concerns. I think the Marlins have the choice of either saying we're going to, accept losses, losses as in games, not as in people. Basically say, we'll take cancellations of games for a few days, but they should probably have to either field the team or forfeit the games. That should be their options. Field a team of COVID-free players or accept losses in those games. And that's
Now, I also heard that New York Governor Cuomo today came out and said, hey, if there's any teams that have outbreaks and want to get away from their hot zones, come to New York and we'll find a spot for you because we have the capability and we're safer here. So would you guys think that's a good idea for the Marlins to move them up for the next 2 months just to have them play in a safer area like the Northeast? That's what I would do.
At least put them in a safe spot like New York or anywhere else. But at the same time, it's risky because they're coming off, being half the team being sick. Anybody could get this virus at any moment. But I think putting them in a place like New York or anywhere in the Northeast where it's like, green, I think it's a good plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, and then last topic, we'll get to this quickly, and then we'll move on to our winners and losers. Lou Williams and the Clippers. Ooh. Guys, basketball is coming back in about 48 – or just less than 48 hours from now. We'll have Jazz Pelicans. We'll see if Zion plays in that first game on Thursday night, followed by – and Jack and I will be together for this – the big matchup between the Lakers and Clippers. Should be a lot of fun on Thursday as basketball begins again. But for the Clippers, Lou Williams will not be playing. He, as you guys all know, went to a funeral for – I'm not sure if it was a family member or somebody that he was very close to. And on his way, while he was there in Atlanta, he stopped at what assumed to be like some sort of a club, got some chicken wings, was exposed, got a picture put on the internet, and is now quarantined for just about the next week and a half. So he will not be playing in 2 of the LA Clippers, the opening 2 games for them. So I actually will want to make the argument in a minute that this actually helps the Clippers on Thursday night in a way, and I'll make that argument in a minute. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts first on the opening game as well as this whole crazy situation with Lou Will.
Tough for the Clippers. Little bit funny, but this regardless, his opening game is going to be so much fun to watch. I'm not a massive basketball fan, but even I'm going to be watching the whole game because finally we have basketball back. It's going to be so nice.
I mean, all I got to say is those Magic Club wings hit different, according to Shannon. I mean, he got his own wings named after him, Lou Will Lemon Pepper. But for real, I thought, seeing that, I was like, that's so stupid. Why would you do that? We have a championship to win. We got an opening game coming soon. We got to start, building our chemistry, dust off the rust and everything. But it's going to be tough without Lou Will, especially Montrezl Harrell and Bev are questionable. But I just can't wait for basketball to come back. It's finally, basketball is here. After months of no sports and agony of no basketball, finally, freedom.
Yeah, when it comes to Lou Will, I just got to ask, what are you doing, man? The Clippers, they really haven't played their scrimmages with their full squad, which has probably hurt them because they can use as many games to get chemistry as they need. And they haven't been, but I think overall they'll be okay. And I've said this to Dean a couple times. Honestly, if the Lakers do beat the Clippers this time on Thursday, I don't actually think it's the worst thing that could happen. Because say they do play each other in the Western Conference Finals, they don't have that label going in that they have the 3-1, so all the pressure's on them. They have to deliver. If it's 2-2 even playing field going into it, I think it takes a little bit of pressure off of them. So I don't think it's the worst thing if they lose.
Yes. So I actually think that in a lot of ways, this actually helps the Clippers on Thursday night. And I want to make this argument. You guys might think this is crazy, but let me just throw this out there. So did you guys watch in the third game that the Lakers won right before the restart? And did you see the Laker offense in the second half of that game when they pulled ahead and won? It was like every possession that Lou Williams was on the floor, he was involved in some sort of a screen and roll to get a Laker one-on-one matched up with him, and they would attack him off the dribble. Time and time again. If LeBron saw him, he was going right to the basket. If it was Anthony Davis that saw him, right at him to the basket. If it was Kyle Kuzma, right to the basket. It didn't matter who it was. They wanted to attack Lou Williams because he is so bad defensively. And you guys know he's an incredible scorer. He's a phenomenal offensive player, one of the best in the league. But defensively, he is such a mismatch. And when you put such strong, big guys like the Lakers have, who are very athletic in that way, and put Lou Williams on them 1-on-1, it's a total mismatch. It's just he has no shot. But when he's not on the floor, it forces the Clippers to go to more defensive-oriented lineups where Landry Shamet is in the game. We'll probably see more Reggie Jackson in the game, JaMychal Green in the game, Patrick Beverley in the game. When those guys are out there, they at least have chances to stop the Lakers one-on-one where they're so talented. I mean, LeBron, as you guys know, can just drive at will. But at least those guys have some sort of a fighting shot. Lou Williams didn't, and I think that helps them. In the last game, that Laker win, Lou Williams, I think he had 4 points. He was really terrible from the field. Marcus Morris was also. But at least now they'll probably be forced to put in bigger, longer, more athletic lineups, and I think that actually helps them in this matchup for the Lakers. Over the course of a 7-game series, having Lou Williams out there to score is really important. But I think in a 1-game situation like this, putting guys out there on the floor who can defend is a really important aspect for the Clippers to win.
Even Marcus Morris and Paul George are starting to look good as well, which helps them. Because Paul George, even before the shutdown, was struggling, and now he's starting to pick up the pace, and he even said he's fully recovered, which is huge for the Clippers.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I am going to disagree with you just because, like you said, Lou had an off game. Obviously, I don't think that's not going to happen over a 7-game series, and I think that was very much a fluke. He's been very good this season. He's averaging close to 19 points a game. And also, ever since Reggie Jackson got there, he's been shooting around 60%. But overall, like what you said, that's not why the Clippers lost. They lost because Avery Bradley had the best game of his life, and the Clippers got nothing from Lou Williams offensively.
I do agree with Dean and Jack here. I think, of course, we saw the Lakers game plan against Lou Williams, but now that the Clippers know that that's an issue, they can easily game plan against that. They can design things so that happens as little as possible, the least amount as possible. It goes both ways.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not good offensively. He is just amazing. I mean, leads the team in assists, I believe. He's almost 20 points a game, as you said, Jack. He's an incredible shooter. He can go off the dribble. It doesn't matter. But defensively, he's just really bad. So I think in that aspect, it helps the Clippers out. But as I said, over the course of a 7-game series, there'll be some games where Lou Williams goes crazy. I mean, he'll have games in the course of these playoffs where he probably goes for 35 points or more because he is just so unbelievably talented offensively. But defensively, he's bad. I mean, just you gotta own that, and you got to game plan around it. But I think in an opening game like this, where guys will be rusty, having players to defend the other team's best players is important. And I actually think the Lakers will still win. I mean, what would you think I would say?
So what are your guys' picks for opening night? Dean, Noah, we already know yours for one game. What about the other?
Very much dependent on Zion. If Zion plays, I'll pick the Pelicans, but probably the Jazz.
If Zion plays, I'll go with the Pelicans. The Laker game, I hate Jack. I'm sorry, man. I think the Lakers win this game. Not having Lou Will is going to hurt. They might not even have Harrell, like I said, or Bev, which may also hurt because those guys also play defense.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to predict the Lakers are going to win as much as I don't want to. Like I said, I don't think it's the worst thing. I'm going to predict they win 105-100. But also, I saw a report earlier that said Anthony Davis could possibly be out with an eye injury. So if that's the case,
yep, that's true.
If that's the case, I gotta give it the advantage to the Clippers because that's a huge blow losing Anthony Davis. But I'm gonna go with the Lakers, and in the Pelicans Jazz game, even if Zion doesn't play, I'm still gonna go with the Pelicans because overall I think they have more talent than the Jazz.
Yeah, I agree. I have the Pelicans regardless of whether or not Zion plays. And it's tough. I have to agree with Jack in that, if Davis doesn't play, I don't think there's a chance that the Lakers win. But I would say it's more likely for him to play than not play, so I'm going to go with the Lakers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd hear that from you guys.
Oh, God.
That's just one win on the way to number 4 in terms of championships and finals MVPs for the King, LeBron James. But we'll get to that in the next few months as we move closer to school. So now on to winners and losers. I know we love to do this. Aidan and Jack, I believe you guys are the losers this week, so go right ahead, please.
All you, Jack.
All right. Well, my losers obviously is the Clippers for Lou Williams for doing this. I don't understand why you're doing that. It's kind of stupid, and you hurt your team. And also, I have one more loser. I just find this funny. As of right now, one of my losers is Aidan Shard and Boston Red Sox fans, looking like you're going to be a 1-4 start. They are currently losing 5-1 to the Mets. And rookie David Peterson going out there, putting on a show. Noah, how do you feel about that?
Yes, I was so happy he got the start tonight. I didn't think he would make the rotation so quickly, but because Rick Porcello was so terrible a few nights ago, first Corey Oswalt to pitch, and it gave Peterson an opportunity. Hopefully he takes full advantage of it, and he has so far. J.D. Davis, I just saw hit a home run, so it's 5-1.
Yep.
Dean, go right ahead.
So I have two winners. Us sports fans is the first winner. We got hockey coming back. We got basketball coming back. Baseball's already back. There's soccer, of course. Sports is finally here. It's a great time to be alive if you're a sports fan. And my second winner is, of course, the team that I'm wearing that won this Sunday, NYCFC in the MLS tournament for beating Toronto finally. Yeah.
Okay. Who's next?
No, go ahead.
Hard? No, go ahead.
Oh, it's me?
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, my loser, besides me, of course, because God, this Red Sox season is painful to watch. No, it's more than just me. It's Boston fans right now. The Red Sox are worse than I think anybody could have imagined pitching wise. We are so inconsistent on offense. Insanely talented bats, but so inconsistent, and that just makes us it's hard to watch. We scored more runs in our first game than in the 3 after it combined, and it's tough to watch. But in addition to that, we've also seen 6 Patriots players opt out of the 2020 season. Some of them are like, we don't need them to win games, but, Patrick Chung, Dante Hightower, big names. It's looking like the McCourty twins are probably going to go out soon too. A lot of big names on our defense, which is difficult. So all Boston sports fans, I'm sorry for you from me, a Boston sports fan. Go Sox. Let's come back. I'm still following the game on my phone. Eovaldi's going to outpitch DeGrom tomorrow night.
Wow.
That's funny.
That.
Hey,
Okay.
I think those 2 games took a toll on you.
My winner of the week is Nelson Cruz from the Minnesota Twins, the 40-year-old designated hitter from absolutely just mashed in the first, 4 or 5 days of the season, hitting 3 home runs. He drove in 7 RBIs, I believe it was, the other day, and he is just such a great hitter. I mean, at 40 years old to be doing what he's doing over the last bunch of years, it's just incredible. Over 400 homers now in his career, so he is quite amazing. And then I do have one loser that I wanted to mention, even though I am winners this week, because it is just something that really opened my eyes today when I saw it. Devin Funchess, the wide receiver from the Green Bay Packers, has opted out of the season today, and you mentioned some other guys from New England, Aidan. But Devin Funchess has opted out from the Green Bay Packers, the receiver. And all I could do was smile and laugh when I saw that, because it made Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur look even stupider for taking Jordan Love in the draft in the first round ahead of a wide receiver when they had all the opportunities to do so. And the Packers are going to be really inconsistent on offense this year. They still have nobody to throw to outside of Devontae Adams, and their same struggles from last year are going to continue, and they will continue to waste the twilight of Aaron Rodgers' career. As great as he is, he can't carry a team by himself in that way. So I looked at that today, and I just said, oh, my God, here we go again.
The disrespect to Jordan Love. My goodness. No, I'm just kidding.
Disrespect to Aaron Rodgers, my goodness. That's what I said.
Of course, well, that too, but it's not Jordan.
All right, that does it. That does it for the episode today. Be sure to check it out on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube page, and follow our friends at 1306 Sports as well. So make sure you do all of that and watch our new episode. It'll come up probably by tomorrow or so, which will be Wednesday. So make sure you do that. And hope everybody has a good night. And we can't wait for sports to come back. It should be great. Have a good one, everybody.
Sucks.